My name is Marina Hayes. I'm 32 years old, and the night my boyfriend texted me from another woman's house at 3 in the morning, he thought he was the one holding power. He wasn't. I was dead asleep when my phone buzzed across the nightstand at 3:14 a.m. At first, I thought it was one of those half-dream sounds your brain invents when you are too tired to move. But then it buzzed again, longer this time, rattling against the wood hard enough to pull me fully awake. I reached for it blindly, still warm from sleep, hair in my face, eyes burning. The message was from Eli. I'm at Sophie's house. Come pick me up right now, or we're done. I'm serious. You have 20 minutes. For a second, I didn't even breathe. The room was dark except for the cold white light of the screen. The apartment was silent in that eerie, suspended way it always is before dawn, when the whole world feels paused and private and slightly unreal. I read the message again, then a third time. Sophie, not some stranger, not a random emergency, not a rideshare problem, not a dead battery, not a fight outside a bar. Sophie, his coworker, the woman he had laughed off every time I brought her up. The woman he said was just a friend, just part of the team, just someone who texts too much because she has no boundaries. The same Sophie who somehow always needed help after work. The same Sophie whose name lit up his phone late at night. The same Sophie who was, very importantly, married. I sat up slowly, the sheet falling into my lap, my heartbeat suddenly hard and deliberate. Then I typed back, "We're done." His response came instantly, like he had been staring at the screen waiting for me to fail whatever sick little test this was. "Are you serious right now? I'm giving you a chance to prove you care." I stared at that line so long my vision sharpened around it. A chance to prove I care. At 3 in the morning. While he was at another woman's house. I typed with my thumbs. Calm now in the way I only get when something inside me goes past hurt and lands somewhere colder. You're at another woman's house at 3 a.m. What exactly am I supposed to prove? The bubbles appeared. Stopped. Appeared again. Then, that you'll fight for me. That you actually give a damn. I let out one short laugh into the dark. Not because it was funny. Because it was so absurd it barely felt human. I wrote, "No, I'm good. Have Sophie drive you home." He called immediately. I declined. He called again. I declined again. Then the text started coming too fast to read in real time. "You're pathetic. A real woman would come get her man. I was testing you and you failed. Sophie treats me better than you ever did. I'm staying here tonight then. Hope you're happy." That last message came with a location pin. He sent me his location like it was a threat. Like it was supposed to make me panic. Like I would throw on yesterday's clothes, race across town, and arrive breathless and begging, just to prove I deserved a man who was sitting in another woman's living room at 3 in the morning. Instead, I opened the pin. He was really there. Not nearby, not at a bar next door, not stranded in a parking lot. At her house. A clean residential address in a quiet neighborhood I recognized from one of those awful office holiday parties I had once forced myself to attend for him. I took screenshots of everything. His messages, the call log, the location pin. Then I sat there with the phone in my hand and felt something heavy settle into place inside me. Because Sophie was not just married. She was pregnant. I knew that because Eli had mentioned it once in passing, annoyed that the office had all signed a card for her baby shower and he had forgotten to chip in for the gift. 7 months, maybe a little more. Far enough along that strangers probably smiled at her in grocery stores. Far enough along that her husband was likely assembling furniture and pretending not to panic. And my boyfriend was in her house in the middle of the night, telling me I had 20 minutes to prove my love. I opened Facebook. It took less than a minute to find her husband. Nathan Cole. His profile picture was a photo of the two of them outdoors. Sophie smiling with one hand under the curve of her stomach. Nathan beside her with that careful, proud expression men get when life is about to change and they know it. I clicked message. My fingers hovered once. Just once. Then I sent, "Hi. I'm sorry to send this so late. Your wife is with my boyfriend at your house right now." He texted me from there at 3:14 a.m., telling me to come get him. I thought you should know. I attached the screenshots. The messages, the location pin, everything. Then I put the phone down on the blanket and sat motionless, listening to the silence press around me. There is a moment after you do something irreversible when your body knows it before your mind does. My pulse was steady. My shoulders loosened. My face felt strangely blank. At 3:31 a.m., the message showed seen. I stared at that one word. Seen. That was all. No reply, no question, no accusation. Just seen. I lay back against the headboard and waited. At 4:12 a.m., Eli's name lit up my screen again. Then again. Then again. When I finally looked, the texts were tumbling over each other. "Marina, what did you do?" Nathan is here. He's losing it. Please answer your phone. I need somewhere to stay. Please, baby. I'm sorry. She's throwing stuff outside. This is insane. I read each line once. Only once. Then I turned my phone to silent and set it face down. Sleep did not come back right away. I sat in the dark with my knees drawn up and watched the faint outline of the window change by degrees. Black to charcoal, charcoal to blue-gray. The city beginning again, somewhere beyond the glass. And I kept thinking about the wording of his message. Come get me or we're done. Not can you help, not I messed up, not please. An ultimatum. He really believed I would choose humiliation over loss, that I would rather drag my dignity across town than let him face the consequences of where he had decided to be. He did not know me at all. By the time the first pale stripe of morning touched the wall, my phone was still vibrating every few minutes against the wood. Eli. Unknown numbers. Eli again. I didn't answer any of them. I got out of bed, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water with hands that were steadier than I expected. The apartment looked exactly the same as it had the night before. The folded throw blanket on the couch, the mug in the sink, his jacket still hanging over the chair from 2 days ago, as if nothing had changed. But everything had. Somewhere across the city, a lie had stopped being private, and the two people who thought they were being reckless and secret were now standing in the bright, ugly light of consequence. My phone buzzed again. This time I picked it up. A voicemail notification. Then another message from Eli. Please, Marina, I have nowhere to go. I looked at the words for a long moment. Then I locked the screen, because he had been right about one thing. We were done. I woke up 3 hours later to sunlight pressing through the blinds, and my phone vibrating so hard against the nightstand it sounded angry. For a few seconds, I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, letting reality catch up to me. Then I reached for the phone. 87 texts, 53 missed calls, 14 voicemails. Most were from Eli. The first one I opened was exactly what I expected. You ruined everything. The next one came less than a minute later. Nathan is kicking Sophie out. He's saying they're done. He's throwing my bag into the yard. Please answer me. Then, my car is still there. I can't leave. Sophie is hysterical. This is all your fault. I read that twice, not because it hurt, but because I wanted to admire the nerve of it. His fault had somehow become mine before sunrise. There were messages from numbers I didn't know too. One of them turned out to be Nathan. You did me a favor. I've suspected something for months. She told me your boyfriend was just dramatic. I found her earrings in our bedroom last month, and she said they were mine. I knew she was lying. Thank you for sending proof. That one I sat with for a moment. Then another message from him. Later, shorter, colder. They're both out. The locks are being changed this morning. A part of me should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt something more complicated than that. Not pity. Definitely not pity. More like the numb ache that comes when a thing you feared in private is suddenly confirmed in detail. Because once it becomes real, it stops being suspicion and starts becoming memory. I scrolled further. Sophie had not contacted me directly, but several of her friends had. You're disgusting for doing this to a pregnant woman's family. That one almost made me laugh. Doing this. As if I had dragged my boyfriend into her house. As if I had poured the drinks. As if I had told them to spend half the night posting like careless teenagers who thought no one was watching. There were voicemails too. I played one from Eli while brushing my teeth, his voice loud and cracked and furious through the speaker. Marina, pick up, please. Sophie's husband is insane. He showed up out of nowhere and started screaming, and now he's saying, I can't come back, and she's blaming me, and I swear this is not what it looks like. We were just drinking, and she didn't want me to drive. Call me back. I rinsed my mouth and deleted it. Then I listened to the second one. His voice had changed. He was crying now, or trying to sound like he was. Baby, please, please, I'm outside. I had nowhere else to go. I know you're mad, but don't do this. Please just let me explain. Outside? I walked to the living room window and pulled the curtain back, just enough to see the parking lot. No Eli. So that had been a lie too, or maybe wishful thinking dressed up as urgency. I should have turned my phone over and ignored everything for the rest of the day. Instead, I made coffee and kept reading. By then, the shape of the night had sharpened because more pieces kept arriving. Nathan sent one more message with no greeting at all. She'd been there since around 11. I came home early because Sophie said she was staying with a friend. They were on the couch together, not asleep, not confused, not innocent. That was the line that stayed with me. Not asleep, not innocent. At some point between coffee and my second shower, I checked Sophie's Instagram. She had deleted almost everything by then. Almost. But she had not deleted it quickly enough. I found reposts in tagged stories, and 2 screenshots someone had already thrown into a gossip account linked to local office drama. Grainy, ugly proof, but proof all the same. At 11:07 p.m., Sophie and Eli were doing shots in somebody's kitchen, both laughing too hard, too close together. Caption: Work people gone wild. At 12:18 a.m., she was wearing a men's button-down that was very obviously not hers. Caption: Borrowed clothes hit different. At 1:02 a.m., there was a mirror selfie from a bathroom I recognized from the photo on Nathan's profile. Caption: Needed this tonight. And at 2:11 a.m., she had posted a dim photo of socked feet on a couch, wine glasses on the coffee table, a television glowing in the dark. Caption: Not going home yet. I stood there in my kitchen with my coffee cooling between my hands and felt the last loose thread inside me pull tight. He had texted me at 3:14 like I was the dramatic one, like I was failing some test, while they had been documenting the night in stages. I screenshotted everything. Again. Then I saved it to a folder and emailed it to myself. That practicality steadied me more than any crying would have. By late morning, the knocking started. Not loud at first, just 2 measured hits against the door, then 3 harder ones. I knew before I looked. I opened the peephole cover, Eli, and beside him, his mother. Of course. Diane was one of those women who believed volume could replace dignity. Hair done, lipstick perfect, sunglasses on top of her head even though she was indoors, as if she had shown up for a confrontation she fully expected to win. Eli looked wrecked. Same jeans as the night before, shirt wrinkled, eyes red, mouth set in that miserable, offended way some men get when consequences arrive and they still think they are the true victim. Diane knocked again. Marina, I know you're in there. I opened the door, but I did not step aside. What? Eli exhaled like he had been holding his breath for an hour. Thank God. No, I said, not God. Diane gave me a look of immediate moral disappointment, the kind older women weaponize when they want to sound righteous and maternal at the same time. Let him come in, she said. You two need to talk like adults. He can talk from the hallway. Marina, Eli said, dragging my name out like it belonged to him. Please, I haven't slept. Sophie's husband went insane. He threw all our things outside. My car's blocked in. Sophie's crying. I lost my keys somewhere. My phone's almost dead. I looked at him, then at Diane, then back at him. And? His expression faltered. And I need to come in. No. Diane blinked. Excuse me? No, I repeated. He does not need to come in. He lives here, she snapped. I let that sit in the air for a second. Then I said it slowly, clearly, with no room for confusion. No, he doesn't. Eli took a step forward, lowering his voice as if softness might work where panic had not. Marina, come on, I know you're hurt, but don't do this in front of my mom. I almost admired that. The instinct to make me the embarrassing one while he stood in yesterday's shame on my doorstep. Your overnight bag has never lived here, I said. Your toothbrush does not make this your apartment. Your name is not on the lease. You stay here sometimes. That is not the same thing. Diane folded her arms. This is cruel. No, I said. Cruel was sending me an ultimatum from another woman's house at 3 a.m. Eli looked over his shoulder down the hallway, suddenly aware that apartment buildings have doors, and doors have ears. Can we not do this out here? We can do it right here. His jaw tightened. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. She was upset. So you went drinking at her house. She needed support. At midnight. She didn't want to be alone. So you stayed until after 3 and texted me like I was your chauffeur. His face changed at that. Anger replacing pleading because anger was always easier for him when he was losing. You didn't have to message Nathan. I stared at him. No, I said quietly. I really did. Diane stepped in before he could answer. Whatever happened, you do not get to destroy people's lives because your feelings were hurt. I laughed then. I couldn't help it. Just one sharp breath of disbelief. My feelings? Feelings? I said. Your son cheated on me with a married woman whose husband found them together in his own house. But yes, let's talk about my feelings. Eli dragged a hand through his hair. I did not cheat. That almost interested me. Oh, then define what you did. He looked tired enough to tell the truth and arrogant enough to think he could survive it. We were drinking. She vented about Nathan. I vented about us. Things got blurred. Blurred, I repeated. Yes. What a convenient little word. Diane cut in again. Marina, enough. He made a mistake. One mistake doesn't usually last from 11 at night until past 3 a.m. Eli flinched at that. Good, because now he knew I knew more than he expected. His eyes narrowed. You've been stalking her? No, I said. You two did all the documenting yourselves. That landed. A flash of panic moved across his face. He knew exactly which stories I meant. Diane did not, but she knew enough to realize the ground was shifting under them. Fine, she said briskly. Whatever happened last night, punishing him like this is childish. Let him get his things and cool off here for a day or two. I leaned against the doorframe. He has no things here worth discussing. That was not fully true. There was a jacket hanging over my dining chair, a phone charger beside the bed, one t-shirt in my laundry basket, maybe two. None of it mattered. What about his clothes? Diane demanded. At Sophie's house, apparently. Eli's face flushed hard. Can you stop saying her name like that? Like what? He stopped himself. Like the woman you cheated with? His mouth shut. The hallway went still. I could feel the moment settling over all three of us, heavy and final, because once I said it plainly, no one could keep pretending we were negotiating a misunderstanding. Diane's voice dropped lower. Think very carefully about how you handle this. People regret acting from anger. I'm not angry anymore, I said. And that was the first thing I had said all morning. That was completely true. I was past anger. Eli looked at me then with something close to fear, maybe because he finally understood that tears, blame, and need were not going to pull me back into the role he had assigned me. Where am I supposed to go? He asked. For a second, I just looked at him, at the man who had spent the night humiliating me and had still expected, somehow, to come home to softness. Then I said, Try Sophie's. His expression hardened instantly. Nathan changed the locks. That sounds difficult. Marina. What? My car is there. Then I suggest you arrange transportation. Diane took out her phone like she was ready to escalate this into theater. I can call the police. Please do, I said. I would love to explain that an adult man who cheated on me wants entry to an apartment he doesn't legally live in. That knocked the performance right out of her. She lowered the phone. Eli looked suddenly smaller, less like a betrayed hero, more like exactly what he was, a man standing in a hallway with nowhere to go because he had mistaken arrogance for leverage. He tried once more. Marina, please, we can fix this. There are moments when a relationship truly ends, and it is rarely during the betrayal itself. It ends when one person looks at the other and nothing inside them moves toward repair. That was my moment. No, I said, we can't. His face went blank. Not shattered, not dramatic, just blank, like some final script in his head had failed to load. Diane touched his arm. Come on. They turned to leave. But before he stepped into the elevator, Eli looked back and said, You're going to regret this. I met his eyes. No, I said, you are. Then I closed the door. And for the first time since 3:14 a.m., the silence in my apartment felt like mine again. The first time Eli tried to scare me, he didn't do it alone. It was 2 days after everything blew up. Long enough for the initial chaos to settle into something sharper, more public, more embarrassing for them, more permanent. I was at work when the receptionist called down. Marina, there's someone here asking for you. Says it's urgent. Family matter. Family. That word alone told me exactly who it was. I grabbed my phone, slid it into my coat pocket, and turned the camera on before I even stood up. Not because I was afraid, because I was done being unprepared. When I stepped into the lobby, I saw him immediately. Eli. And he had brought backup. 2 guys I recognized vaguely from his stories. Friends who only existed when he needed validation. The kind who laughed too loudly at bad jokes and nodded too quickly at bad decisions. Trevor and Manny. Eli looked like he hadn't slept properly in days. Dark circles, unshaven, jaw tight, like he was trying to hold himself together through sheer force. But the moment he saw me, he straightened, trying to look in control again. We need to talk, he said. I stopped a few feet away from him. No, we don't. Trevor stepped forward like this was some kind of staged intervention. Look, let's not make this bigger than it needs to be. I tilted my head slightly. You brought an audience. It's already bigger than it needs to be. Manny scoffed. You think you're funny? No, I said calmly. I think I'm done. Eli exhaled hard, like he was already frustrated I wasn't playing along. You cost me everything, he said. There it was. Not I messed up, not I'm sorry. You cost me. I folded my arms. No, I said, you did that all by yourself. He shook his head. You didn't have to send those screenshots. I absolutely did. You could have talked to me first. I tried, I said. You gave me an ultimatum instead. Trevor stepped in again. Look, man. I'm not your man, I cut in without raising my voice. He blinked, thrown off. Eli pressed forward, ignoring them now, trying to lock eyes with me, like he used to when he thought intensity meant persuasion. Sophie's husband is filing, he said. Do you understand that? Yes. She could lose her home. Yes. She's pregnant, Marina. I let a beat pass, then another. Then I said, "You should have thought about that before you went to her house." That landed harder than anything else I'd said so far, because there was no emotion in it. Just fact. Manny muttered something under his breath, something about cold-hearted. I ignored him. Eli's voice sharpened. "You didn't have to ruin her life." That almost made me smile. "I didn't ruin anything," I said. "I revealed it." Silence. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just that quiet kind of stillness where the truth sits in the center of the room and no one wants to be the first to touch it. Trevor shifted tactics. "Look," he said, softer now, like he was negotiating a deal. "Let's fix this. Apologize. Maybe help out with legal fees. Nathan's making this messy. Lawyers are expensive." I actually laughed. Out loud. Right there in the lobby. "You want me," I said slowly, "to pay for the consequences of your friend cheating with a married woman?" "It's not like that," Eli started. "It's exactly like that." He stepped closer. Too close. "Watch your tone," he said quietly. There it was. The attempt at intimidation. Subtle. Familiar. Completely useless now. I didn't move back. "If you're trying to scare me," I said, just as quietly, "you should have picked a better starting point than your own mistakes." His jaw tightened. Manny stepped forward again, this time less patient. "You started this." I turned to him. "No," I said. "It started when he went to another woman's house and stayed there all night." Trevor shook his head. "You didn't have to snitch." That word. Snitch. Like we were in middle school. Like this was about loyalty instead of accountability. I looked back at Eli. "Is that what you think this is?" I asked. "Snitching?" He didn't answer. Because he knew. Deep down, under all the noise and blame and panic, he knew. Security chose that moment to step in. "Everything okay here?" I turned slightly toward them, my voice calm, steady, professional. "Yes," I said. "These men were just leaving." Eli pointed at me, that last desperate flicker of anger, trying to give him back some kind of control. "This isn't over." I met his eyes. "It is for me." Trevor muttered something about handling it another way, but security was already closing in, their presence shifting the balance completely. Within seconds, the performance collapsed. Voices lowered. Postures softened. They backed off. Eli lingered half a second longer than the others, like he was waiting for a crack, a hesitation, a sign that I would follow him out and give him one last chance to reframe the story in his favor. I gave him nothing. He left. And just like that, that part was over. That evening, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Nathan. He's trying to claim I'm unstable, saying I overreacted. "My lawyer needs everything you have, especially the posts." I didn't hesitate. I sent everything. The screenshots, the timestamps, the saved stories. Every careless moment they thought would disappear by morning. His reply came quickly. "Thank you. You have no idea how much this helps." Maybe I did. Because I knew what it felt like to stand in a room where someone lied to your face and expect you to accept it. And I knew what it felt like to finally have proof that you weren't crazy. Meanwhile, Eli and Sophie made their next mistake. They stopped hiding. At first it was subtle. A comment here, a like there. Then, within 48 hours, they posted it. A photo, the two of them together, smiling. Like nothing had happened. Like no one had been hurt. Like the timeline didn't exist. The caption was worse. "Sometimes you find the right person at the wrong time." I stared at that for a long moment. Not angry. Not even surprised. Just impressed. Impressed at how quickly people could rewrite reality when the truth made them uncomfortable. The comments didn't take long. They came in fast. Relentless. "Isn't his wife pregnant? Wow. Homewreckers. This is actually disgusting. Feel bad for the baby." Then someone tagged Nathan. Then someone else tagged his mother. Then more. The post started collapsing in real time. You could feel it through the screen. The shift. The turning. The moment they realized that going public hadn't cleaned the story. It had exposed it. Within 2 hours, the post was gone. But it didn't matter, because screenshots move faster than regret. Later that night, my mom called. Not concerned. Not confused. Laughing. "I just had the most ridiculous visit," she said. I smiled despite myself. "Let me guess. Your ex-boyfriend's, whatever she is now." "Sophie." "Yes, her." I leaned back against the couch. What did she want? "To convince me you're abusive." I closed my eyes for a second. "Of course." She had a presentation, my mom said. Printed slides, bullet points, examples. I think she thought I was going to grade it. I laughed, soft and tired. "What did you say?" I let her finish, my mom said. Then I asked one question. "What? Were you at another woman's husband's house at 3 a.m? I smiled. "And?" She said yes. A pause. Then my mom added, voice light but sharp underneath. "So I told her no amount of formatting fixes that." I laughed properly then, for the first time since this all started. Not because it was funny, because it was clear. Everything was becoming clear. And for once, I wasn't the one scrambling to explain myself. They were. By the end of that week, everything stopped being private. Not gradually, not quietly. Public, messy, uncontainable. It started with their workplace. Eli and Sophie worked at the same company. Different departments, same building, same internal systems, same policies they had both signed and clearly never thought would matter. Until they did. Someone, definitely not me, sent HR a neat little package. Screenshots of their announcement. The Instagram stories with timestamps. Proof that this hadn't been one bad night, but a pattern. Late lunches, client meetings, conference room bookings that didn't line up with any actual clients. By Monday morning, both of them had been called in. By Monday afternoon, both of them were suspended pending review. And by Monday night, my phone rang again. Eli. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. Not because I missed him, because I wanted to hear what accountability sounded like in his voice. Marina, he said too quickly, too breathless. You need to tell them it's not what it looks like. There it was. Not is this true? Not did you send it? Just immediate assumption. Immediate blame. You think I control your HR department? I asked. You sent those screenshots to Nathan, he snapped. You knew he'd use them. I knew he deserved the truth. You got us suspended. No, I said calmly, and your behavior did. There was a pause on the line. Then, I could lose my job. You probably will. Another pause. Longer this time. His voice dropped when he spoke again. Softer, trying a different angle. I need help. That word again. Need. As if need erased everything that came before it. With what? I asked. With a lawyer, with money, something. I almost smiled. You should ask Sophie. She can't, he said quickly. Nathan has restricted access to most of what they shared while the legal process gets sorted out. Then I guess this is a difficult time for both of you. Marina. No, I said, cutting him off this time. Don't do that. Don't say my name like it means something to you right now. His breathing sharpened on the other end. You're really going to watch me lose everything? I leaned back in my chair, looking out the window, the city moving on like none of this mattered at all. I'm not watching anything, I said. I'm just not stopping it. He hung up. By Tuesday, the official decisions started rolling out. Not to me, but to enough people that word spread anyway. Eli was terminated for misuse of company resources, booking conference rooms under fake client names, expensing dinners that were not business-related, repeated violations. Sophie followed soon after, falsifying time records, clocking in, then disappearing, patterns that HR could now see clearly once they knew where to look. It wasn't just about cheating anymore. It was about everything they had done to sustain it, every shortcut, every lie, every small decision that had stacked quietly until it became undeniable. By midweek, their professional lives were gone, and that was when the social fallout really started to take shape. Sophie tried to control the narrative first. A long post, carefully worded, talking about toxic environments, emotional neglect, and finding strength in difficult decisions. She never used Eli's name, never mentioned Nathan directly, but the implication was clear. She was the misunderstood one, the victim of circumstances no one else could possibly understand. For about an hour, it worked. Her friends flooded the comments. You're so brave. People don't know the full story. Stay strong. Then someone replied. Just one comment. Simple. Sharp. Weren't you with a married man whose wife is pregnant? Everything shifted. Replies stacked under it immediately. Tags, screenshots, receipts. Within minutes, the entire tone of the post changed. Support turned into questions. Questions turned into accusations. Accusations turned into something closer to public dissection. The post disappeared not long after. But just like before, it didn't matter. Because once something exists online, it doesn't disappear. It multiplies. Eli didn't even try to be subtle. 2 days after getting fired, he showed up again. This time alone. No friends, no backup, no performance. Just him, standing outside my building. I saw him through the window before he even knocked. For a moment, I just stood there watching him. He looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but in presence. Like the version of himself he used to carry so confidently had been stripped away, leaving something thinner underneath. He knocked. Once, twice. I opened the door, but again, I didn't step aside. What do you want? I asked. He ran a hand through his hair, slower this time, less dramatic. I need to talk to you. We've done that. No, he said, we haven't. I waited. He swallowed. I got fired. I heard. Sophie too. I assumed. He nodded, like he needed me to acknowledge each loss one by one. I don't have anything right now, he said. No job, no income. My mom is already on my case. I can't stay there long. And? He hesitated, then said it anyway. I need somewhere to stay. There it was. The full circle. From ultimatum to request. From control to dependency. I looked at him for a long moment. Not angry, not satisfied. Just clear. You had somewhere to stay, I said. You chose not to be there. That's not fair. It's exact. He shook his head. You're acting like I did this on purpose. I held his gaze. You did. Silence. Real silence this time. No deflection, no quick response. Just the weight of something landing where it couldn't be moved. I made a mistake, he said finally. I exhaled slowly. No, I said. You made a series of decisions. His shoulders dropped slightly. Like something inside him was starting to understand that this conversation was not going to go the way he had imagined. I thought you'd fight for me, he said. That line again. That same warped logic. Why? I asked. He blinked. What? Why would I fight for someone who put himself in that position? He didn't have an answer. Because there wasn't one. I just thought, he started, then stopped. Exactly, I said. You thought, you didn't consider. That seemed to hit something deeper than anything else. He looked away. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked unsure. Not angry, not defensive. Just unsure. I don't know what to do, he admitted. And for a brief second, I saw the version of him I used to care about. The one who didn't always have an angle. The one who didn't always twist things to his advantage. But that version of him wasn't the one who had texted me at 3:14 a.m. And it wasn't the one standing here now, asking for something he had already thrown away. That's not my problem anymore, I said. He nodded slowly, like he had expected that answer, even if he didn't want to hear it. Right, he said. He turned to leave, then paused. Do you hate me? He asked without looking back. I thought about that. Really thought about it. Then I said, no, I just don't trust you. And without that, there's nothing left. That was the moment. Not loud. Not dramatic. But final. He nodded once. Then he walked away. And this time he didn't come back. For a while, everything went quiet. Not because things had settled. Because they had collapsed far enough that there was nothing left to argue about. No more surprise visits. No more calls in the middle of the night. No more attempts to reframe what had already been exposed. Just distance, and consequences spreading outward in slow, unavoidable waves. I heard most of it through other people, not because I asked. Because once something becomes public enough, it finds you whether you want it to or not. Eli had moved back in with his mother. That part didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was how quickly that situation turned uncomfortable for him. Diane, who had stood in my hallway calling me cruel, apparently had a very different tone behind closed doors. There were rules now. Curfews. Questions, expectations, and no patience for excuses. I imagined the conversations. The same sharp voice, the same certainty, just pointed in a different direction. Sophie's situation was worse. Not emotionally, practically. Nathan had filed everything fast. Divorce, asset separation, temporary custody arrangements for when the baby arrived. And he had something she didn't expect. Proof. Not suspicion, not gut feeling. Evidence. Every message, every timestamp, every careless post she thought she could delete before morning. From what I heard, access to shared money and property had become restricted while everything was being sorted out. The house was no longer a place she could move through freely. She was staying with friends at first, then rotating, then running out of places to go. Because support has a limit, and drama burns through it quickly. I didn't feel victorious. That's the strange part people don't talk about. When something ends like that, you expect a moment where it feels like you won. Like everything balances. Like the scale evens out. But it doesn't. It just clears. Like fog lifting. You don't feel powerful. You feel accurate. About a week later, Eli tried again. Not in person. Not aggressively. Just a message. From a new number. I know you blocked me. I just needed to say something. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Then, I messed up. I know that now. I wasn't thinking clearly. I thought I had time to fix it. I didn't respond. Another message came. I miss you. Still nothing. Then the one that mattered. Can you help me out? Just this once. I'm really struggling. There it was again. The pattern. Not apology, not accountability. Request, need, access. I typed slowly. Carefully. Not out of hesitation. Out of precision. What we had ended the night you chose to be somewhere else. I watched the typing bubble appear. Disappear. Appear again. Then, it wasn't like that. I almost smiled. Even now. Even after everything. Still trying to reshape the truth into something softer. It was exactly like that, I replied. This time his response came faster. More desperate. Please, I don't have anyone else. That line. That assumption. That I would still be available just because I used to be. I stared at it. Then typed one word. Number. I blocked the number. Again. A few days later, Sophie tried something different. Not directly. Through someone else. A mutual acquaintance I barely spoke to messaged me. Hey, she's not doing well. She just wants to explain her side. I read it, then closed the app. Because I already knew her side. I had seen it, lived it, documented it. There was nothing left to explain. The last time either of them tried to pull me back in was almost creative. Eli showed up again, but this time he didn't knock. He waited by the entrance. Like he thought catching me off guard would work better than asking. I saw him as I walked up. He straightened immediately, like he had been rehearsing that moment. "Marina," he said, stepping forward, "just give me 5 minutes." "No, please, just listen. I've done enough of that." He hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled something out. A pregnancy test. Positive. 2 clear lines. "I didn't want to do this like this," he said, "but you need to know." I looked at it, then at him, then back at it. Something about the way he held it, the timing, the setup. It didn't feel real. It felt staged. "When did she take it?" I asked. "This morning." So that was the angle. Not that he was pregnant. That Sophie was supposedly pregnant, and he thought that would drag me back into their mess. I held my hand out. "Let me see." He hesitated for half a second, then gave it to me. I turned it over slowly, looked at it, looked at the angle of the image, the lighting. Too clean, too perfect. I pulled out my phone, opened a search, uploaded the picture. He shifted in front of me. "What are you doing?" "Checking something." It took less than 10 seconds. The exact same image appeared. Pinned, saved, shared. Over and over again. A stock photo from a pregnancy announcement board. Years old. I turned the screen toward him. "This one?" I asked. His face changed instantly. Color draining. Eyes flicking, calculating. Really," I said quietly. "This is what you went with?" He grabbed the test back too quickly, too defensively. It doesn't matter," I cut him off. Because it didn't. Not anymore. Not after everything. He took a step back. Then another. Like the space between us had finally become something he couldn't cross. I looked at him one last time. Not angry, not hurt. Just done. Completely. "You should stop," I said. "Stop what?" "Trying to find a version of me that still exists for you." He didn't respond. Because there wasn't one. I walked past him. Into my building. And this time I didn't look back. Time didn't fix anything. It just revealed what was already broken. And once everything settled, once the noise died down and the last wave of messages stopped hitting my phone, what was left was clarity. Nathan finalized the divorce faster than anyone expected. From what I heard, his lawyer didn't even have to fight that hard. Because when you walk into a courtroom with timelines, screenshots, and financial records that line up perfectly, there's not much to argue. Sophie lost the house. When the baby arrived, Nathan ended up in the stronger position legally, with custody arrangements and conditions that clearly favored stability. There were boundaries, financial obligations, consequences she hadn't planned for. Everything that used to feel distant and theoretical became real. Immediate. Permanent. Eli didn't do much better. No job, no savings left after trying to figure things out. No place of his own. He stayed with Diane. And from what mutual connections quietly passed along, that situation didn't look anything like the support he thought he'd get. She didn't defend him anymore, didn't excuse him, didn't smooth things over. She held him accountable in a way that was probably long overdue. And he didn't handle it well, because people who are used to control rarely adjust easily to consequences. They didn't last either. That part almost felt predictable. A relationship that starts in secrecy, built on overlap and betrayal, doesn't suddenly become stable just because it's out in the open. From what I heard, the arguments started quickly. Blame, pressure, reality. Everything that had been hidden under adrenaline and poor decisions started surfacing. And without anything real underneath it, it collapsed. Quietly this time. No announcement, no post. Just gone. The last message I ever got from Eli came weeks later. Another new number. Another attempt. Short. Stripped down. "I know you don't care anymore, but I did love you. Sophie was a mistake. I just wanted to see if you'd fight for me." I stared at that for a long time. Not because it hurt. Because it finally made sense. Not the cheating, not the choices. The mindset. The idea that love had to be proven through tolerance. That respect was optional, but loyalty wasn't. That pushing someone to the edge was a way to measure their attachment. I typed one sentence. A real relationship doesn't require tests like that. Then I blocked the number. For the last time. Life didn't transform overnight after that. There was no dramatic moment where everything suddenly felt perfect. But things aligned. Quietly. Naturally. Work got better. Not because I tried harder. Because I wasn't carrying distraction anymore. I got promoted a month later. Not something I chased. Something that happened because I showed up fully, without divided attention. I started saying yes to things again. Small things. Coffee with people I used to cancel on. Weekends that didn't revolve around someone else's schedule. Silence that didn't feel heavy. Just space. And eventually I met someone. Not in a dramatic way. No instant spark, no chaos, no intensity that felt like pressure. Just normal, steady, clear. The kind of connection that doesn't demand proof every 5 minutes. The kind that doesn't require you to shrink, explain, or defend your boundaries. The kind that feels like peace instead of performance. And that's how I knew it was different. The funniest part? The part that somehow lived on longer than anything else? That fake pregnancy test image. Someone had turned it into a meme. The exact same picture. Circulating online. Used as a joke about manipulation, about lies, about people trying too hard to control a situation they had already lost. I saw it once, scrolling late at night. Recognized it immediately. And for a second I laughed. Not bitter, not sharp. Just amused. Because something that had once been meant to pull me back in had turned into proof of exactly why I walked away. If there's one thing that night at 3:14 a.m. taught me, it's this. People show you who they are when they think they have leverage. When they believe you'll stay no matter what. When they assume your boundaries are flexible, negotiable, temporary. And the moment you don't play that role anymore, everything shifts. Not because you changed them. Because you stopped participating. I didn't win anything. I didn't take anything. I didn't destroy anything. I just stepped out of something that was already broken and let it collapse on its own.